So this is my basic guide on turkey making. Well, as I said before, I have the turkey. I bought it yesterday, Sunday, and I have it sitting on a sheet pan, on a paper towel. Not a sheet pan, yeah, turkey's in the sheet pan, which has a paper towel in it. And I'll let it thaw there until the night before, so probably Wednesday night. Wednesday night I'll get it out and check it. I'll just feel it and see if it still feels frozen or not. If it does, if it is still frozen, then I'll set it in the sink, put the stopper in, and I'll fill the sink with cold water. It's important that it's cold water. Warm water, you can start bacteria growing in the turkey. You don't want to do that. So I'll put enough cold water in there till the turkey floats, or it's, the water's up a little ways. And I'll leave it in there for a while, and then every so often I'll turn it. And after a few hours or so, you can just feel it. And if it still feels solid, then leave it in there. But it should start to thaw, and it'll start to feel softer. Then once you get to that point, then it's safe to put it back in the refrigerator. Now you can do this now. You can do it the night before. You can even do it the morning of if you want to, depending on how early or how late you're going to have your turkey. So the safest way is to thaw it in the freezer. In the refrigerator. And then if you want to accelerate that, put it in the sink with some cold water. But then once it's thawed, put it back in the refrigerator, still packaged up until it's time to prepare the turkey. And when you get to prepare the turkey, I will take it out of the refrigerator and I keep it on that same sheet pan. And usually work next to the sink or have the sheet pan sitting, in the sink. Then I'll cut it open, the wrapping on the turkey open, and get it out. And once I get it out, and one of the first things I will do is get the gizzards and the neck out. And so in the body cavity will usually be the neck of the turkey, and then where the neck is a hole. Usually the gizzards will be in there. So I take the neck out and the gizzards out. I put the neck and take the gizzards out of their package and put them in this pan. Fill about halfway with water. Boil it for 20 minutes. 20 minutes. And when the 20 minutes are done, turn the heat off, set the pan off the burner, and then with a fork I take the gizzards out and put them on a plate, and then with a knife I dice them up a little bit. They don't have to cut too small, but just a little bit. Then I take them, the gizzards, and if they're not too big, you wouldn't have to cut them at all. Then I put them into the blender. And this blender, this one has two other things. I can go like this way and use that blade. It just cuts sheets off, like when I do casseroles with potatoes, it slices them. But for doing the gizzards, I want to do it this side, which are these little raised holes, and that just takes the gizzards and shreds them. Now it will kind of stick all over, but most of it will be in this part, and I can scrape it out. And the gizzards then I will put into a bowl. Something like this would work. Put the gizzards and scrape it out. Put the gizzards in there. The neck you can just toss. And the water that was in that you were boiling with, keep that. But open this bag of I got Pepsi Farm sage and onion because I like that flavor. And I dump that in here. And I take the gizzards out of the blender, put that in with that. I dice up some onion. I got one onion and put it in there. And then I take some butter, probably about 4 pads, probably half a stick of butter and put it in there. Then on the back here, it'll tell you what to add to it. The other things I add, like I said, were the onion and then the pats of butter. And then it'll tell you how much water to add. I think it's about 2 cups. Yeah, 2 cups of, 2 cups of water. But the water that I add will be the water from boiling up the gizzards and stuff. Because I got some flavor there, so I might as well use it. So, in review, I take these peppy parm sage and onions, put them in this bowl, add some 1 onion chopped up, about a half a stick of butter cut up in pats, and then I'll take a cup and I pour a cup of water in, add it into here, and then start stirring it all up. You can do it with a spoon. I probably have to because it'll be pretty hot. Stir it up with a spoon and see how it feels. Now, you don't want it real dry, and you don't want it so it's like a paste either. 2 cups would be about right. But I put the whole first cup in, and then I get a second cup ready, and I'll pour like a half in it at a time. But stir it up, see how it is. If it's good and moist, then I stop. I don't add any more liquid to it. So you got your cubes in there. You got 1 chopped onion, about 4 pat, about half a stick of butter. In there, get that all kneaded up. All right, then I'll take the turkey, and I usually rinse it off. I don't know if you really have to, but I like to do it. I rinse off the outside. I rinse in the neck cavity. I rinse in the body cavity. And then I use these turkey bags, oven bags. And these ones, it's important because they got ones, they go by sizes. There's some in the store that are like up 6 to 8 pounds. These ones are 8 to 24 pounds because I got like a 14-pound turkey. So anywhere in that size will work. And there'll be 2 bags in here with a plastic twist thing. So now that I have the stuffing all made, I go on to the turkey. And the turkey, I get like I said, I do all the rinsing, get that all done. And then I put it back on the sheet pan, and then I take the stuffing, and stuff as much as you can get into the body cavity. Fill it up really good, and then the remainder that I have, I put in the neck hole, the neck cavity. If there's a whole bunch extra, or you can wrap it up in some aluminum foil and put it in here with the turkey. Okay, so once you get the stuffing into the body cavity, you take the legs and there'll be a little the legs tuck in a flap of skin, so they're held together. And you just put those legs together and you pull this flap of skin, and that'll help hold the stuffing and stuff in there. And so then, once I got that done, got the stuffing in there, got the legs crossed together, and I get this, I'm going to put it in this pan. And this pan has a little rack in it too, so the bird doesn't sit right on the bottom. Anyway, then once I got the turkey, like I said, all stuffed, I get one of these kitchen bags up, or oven bags out, and then I'll take like 1 spoonful of either flour, because Grandma wants gluten-free stuff, or a spoonful of rice flour, and put it in the bag, hold the top of it, and then shake it, and it'll just kind of powder around the inside of it. All right, and you may need help on this part, but if you can hold it in one hand, fine. If you can't, then you have someone else hold the bag, that plastic oven bag, from here open. Slide the turkey into it. All right, and then I twist it up, and then here's two plastic cinchers. So I put that around, pull that tight. Take the turkey that's in the bag now, put it into this roasting pan. And also, if you want to, before you put the turkey in the bag, if you want, pan the vegetable spray, or you can take a little Crisco if you want and smooth it along the top. That'll help it, turn golden brown, but it usually will on its own anyway. So anyway, once I got it in the bag and I got the bag tightened and everything, I stick it in the pan. All right, and I usually add like a cup or so of water, and that's just in case some of the juice from the turkey leaks out and gets into the bottom of this pan. If there's not enough liquid, then that juice will dry and start burning. So I don't want that to happen. So I put a cup or two of water in the bottom of this. All right, and I'll set this on top of it. Usually, a lot of times the turkey's kind of big, so it won't a lot of times fit all the way down. I don't know if you have to examine it, but I think it helps keep it from getting too. Well, anyway, then once you get the turkey in there and it's on, do the oven. And before actually you do the turkey, put it in there, check to make sure this is going to fit without the turkey touching the top of the oven. In this case, it's too high, so I'll just take this rack out and just lower it like this, and then put the turkey. So whether the top's on or the top's off, it's not going to touch the top. One good thing to do too is, like towards the end of it baking, I will take this top off. But you want to make sure that the plastic bag is not going to touch the burning element that's up on the top here. You don't want that to happen. All right. So the time that you bake the turkey, let's say it'll give you some time on the turkey bag itself, or on the turkey, the bag the turkey's in. And then this will give you, inside there's a paper, and it will give you a time, how long to bake it. I usually go longer than shorter, because I don't want it to be raw at all. But using these bags does help keep the turkey moister, and it also helps it cook faster. So I'm usually cooking it probably 3.5 hours, I'd say, on average. All right, so now I got my turkey, I got it stuffed, I got it in the oven bag, I put it in the roasting pan, put it in the oven. Now you don't have to have it in one of these. If you got another pan, I got some glass pans. You can, you could sit it in there. This is nice because it helps reflect the direct heat while keeping it warm. Anyway, these are probably $15, something like that. All right, then I put that in the oven for about 3.5 hours. About an hour before we're going to eat, I start peeling potatoes. Also, when you're boiling these giblets, I think I forgot to say, I boil them for 20 minutes. So it probably takes about half an hour altogether, about 10 minutes for it to heat up. So I boil the giblets for about 20 minutes. And watch, because some of the stuff that comes out of the giblets, some of the juices can foam up, so I try to make sure I'm near so I can stir it every so often to either turn the heat down so it doesn't overflow, or to use my spoon or something to break up the bubbles. And after a little bit they will stop bubbling, something like that. So there, turkey's in. Next would be the potatoes. And I got this size one, I don't know, probably 8 quarts or something like that. So anyway, I peel the potatoes, put them in here, peel them, and I usually cut them either in halves or quarters, depending on how big they are. Put them in here and fill up water till all the potatoes are floating, and then I'll add a little bit more. I usually don't go more than like 3/4. It takes about half an hour altogether, about 10 minutes to get to boil, and then I boil the potatoes for 20 minutes. For 20 minutes. And I have to stir it every so often, or turn the heat down, or take the top off. You can keep the top on, and you can have the heat lower, and you still get boiling. But a lot of times I don't take the top off. But the starch in the potatoes, once it starts to boil, will start to foam up. So I either got to turn the heat down, or stir it around to break up the bubbles. In extreme instances, I'll pour some of the liquid off, but I try not to do that. So boil these for 20 minutes. And then I get, for the mashed potatoes, I get a similar bowl like this. And in advance, I like to dice up some butter and put it in there, because I like to have that flavoring. And then I have a potato masher to mash it up. Now, Rick suggested using what's it called? One of the like the mixer that uses my mixer. That there's 2 of these that go into it. He suggested using that to do the mashed potatoes. So, like I said, I boil it for 20 minutes, and then I'll use some either my elf gloves or heat mitts to pick this thing up. Like this. Put the lid back a little bit, then go over and pour off the water until the water's out of there. And then I dump them into the bowl that I have with the diced up butter in it, and then either mash them with a masher, or get out your cake mixer thingy, whatever, and do the potatoes with that way. Rick suggested that, and it really makes them nice and fluffy. It's actually, they look better than if you just mash them with the masher. So that was a good suggestion that Rick had. So anyway, I do the potatoes, like I said, about an hour before the turkey's in, because it takes me 20 minutes or so. If I got a bunch of potatoes, like I'll do at least a 5-pound bag, a 5 to 10 pound bag for when everybody comes over. So then you can estimate like how many potatoes would each person eat. I take that many potatoes and then add to it. I think they usually suggest like 2 potatoes a person. But anyway, however many you use is up to you. But boil for the 20 minutes, pour the water off, put them in a bowl, and either mash them or use your mixer, and then those are done. I try to do that towards the end because I don't want the potatoes to cool off either. Maybe less than an hour would work better for you. Okay, when the turkey is done, I pull it out of it, and usually if I haven't taken this off, I'll take it off for the last 45 minutes to an hour anyway. Okay, so then I get the turkey out of the oven. I'll leave it in here, but then the bag that it's in, also, when you first put it into the oven, once you bag up the turkey, put it in the oven, you should cut like 6 little slits with a knife, like about 1 inch long, in the top of the bag so it doesn't go and explode. I forgot that. So yeah, when you first do the turkey, put the 6 slits in the little top of the plastic. You can just poke it if you want. That way you don't have the bag just get bigger and bigger with all the liquids in there, you know, trying to, become vaporized now. So anyway, once I take it out of the oven, it's done. Some turkeys will come with a string that you can put underneath it to lift it up when it's done. And if you do have that string that you put underneath it, you put that in when you're baking it, so it stays in with it the whole time. If you don't have that, that's fine. Then I will, once the turkey's done, I take out, then I cut the bag. I cut it up and I cut the bag away enough so that I can get the turkey out. And then I use the sheet pan again usually. And if I don't have more than one, the one I had it on originally, I'll wash. So then I take the turkey out of the bag, put it on the sheet pan, and then I come back to here, because they like to have the turkey set for 15 minutes before you cut it. You don't have to, but so I'll come back to here and get the rest of the bag out, get all the liquid out of it, leave it in here, because that liquid will be the basis for my gravy. So then I can take this out of there. I don't need that at this point. Take all the liquid that was in the bag, put it into here. Okay. And then at that point, I usually, again, I'm gonna butter it. I add another like half a stick of butter in to the liquid, and then I will. Then I set it on the burner and start it on about medium heat. And then I will add this stuff, kitchen bouquet. It's a nice flavoring, and it'll tell you on there about how much to add. I want to say I probably maybe 2 or 3 tablespoons, something like that. But you can add them till taste, you know. Like I said, I have the liquid that was in the bag. If I need to add extra liquid, I can. I used to add milk. Milk was really good to make a gravy. But since we have almond milk, it's vanilla tasting, I don't anymore. If I need to, I'll add a little extra water. Not too much, because I don't want to dilute the gravy too much. So, like I said, I'll have the liquid in here. I add a couple pats of butter in it, maybe a half a stick. And I'll see if it just tastes alright. If I need to add a little salt, I can. That's seasoning to taste. Then I add some kitchen bouquet. This stuff's awesome. Yeah, 2 to 3 tablespoons, just taste. Put 1 tablespoon, stir it up, taste it. And then as it's warming up, since my grandma wanted me to go gluten-free as well, I normally would use flour to thicken it up. But she's gonna go gluten-free, so she's been having me use this is what I get at Meijer. It's gluten-free flour, and it's mostly rice. It's a rice flour. Now this rice flour will thicken up a gravy just as well as flour does. So if you're using flour to make your regular gravy, you can use this in the same way and about in the same amounts as well. So, like I said, take the juice out of the bag. If you need to add a little fine, put some kitchen bouquet in. And then you're supposed to take flour, either the spice flour or regular wheat flour, and in another container, I'll just take like a glass, fill it about a third of the way with flour, and then add water or milk to it until I get into kind of like a thin gruel. And then I start adding it to here before it comes to boil. Because once it starts to boil, then a lot of times if you add flour, rice, or regular wheat flour, it can clump. And then you got lots of clumps. So you try to avoid that. Mix the flour, rice, or wheat up in a glass or another container. Thought it's kind of like a thin gruel. Start this to heat, and then add it, and then bump the heat up a little, from medium to maybe 3/4. You don't want to get it too hot because you don't want it to burn into this pan. So as it gets hotter and hotter, I start adding the flour slurry that I have into here. And as it starts to boil, I'll stir it occasionally too. And it starts to boil, then I pay more attention to it. Then I start adding the flour until it'll start to thicken. And then you add enough so that it gets as thick as you want it to have. Everybody's different about how thick they want it. Usually I don't want it as runny as soup, and you can get it super, super thick. But probably don't want that either, because then it looks gross besides. So stir your flour in and start it to boil, and it'll start to thicken. And it starts to thicken, then I keep it boiling, and I turn the heat down a little bit, like maybe a medium heat down, so I don't burn it. And I keep adding this until it gets to a consistency that I like. Okay, while stirring it. And then when it gets to a consistency that I like, then turn the heat off. And I would suggest then either immediately pouring it into a container. I usually have the container. I'm gonna put the gravy in where I want it to serve from, like on the table. Because once you put the hot gravy into the container gets hot. So anyway, that's how I make the gravy. That's how I made the stuffing. I think that's it. And then any other, things like you've got, your green bean casseroles and pies. Pies I'll make up. I used to make them the morning of. Now most times I'll make them the night before, because otherwise I'm just baking for an hour and hour. But anyway, that's basically how I do it. If you have any questions, let me know. If there's anything I've forgotten. I think the thing I think of in the beginning was once I had the bag with the turkey and with the flour. When I put it in here, I forgot to say immediately put like 6 slits in the top of it. It will mention in the instructions that come with the oven bags too. So, and then when the turkey's done, I got a sheet pan. Then everybody's got different knives and stuff. My favorite one to carve with is this one. It's a nice serrated blade. It's a good size. And if you got the turkey, let's say this is the general. Here's the general shape of the turkey. And you get, here's the neck hole, here's the body cavity is. I'll leave the stuffing in there. Well, you can either leave it in there or you can take it out and put it in a bowl right away. But I try to leave it in there until just before I eat. But yeah, then you can